Yo, what is up, my dudes? Back at it again with another video. In this video, man, long awaited, we're gonna get working on the CRX. So, we are actually going to be pulling the motor. We're gonna get the car cleaned up inside because I have a lot of junk just sitting around inside. So, we're gonna get the car cleaned up. I'm gonna pull the motor. I'm gonna pull the front bumper because this bitch is getting supercharged. That's right, boys. It's time to Kraftwerks supercharge my CRX. I'm really excited because after feeling boost in Carlos's car, I don't want to I don't know, all motor. I love all motor. That is my thing. And I will probably have another setup in this car in the future that's all motor because I still have the B20 short block over there with everything to put together a 13-to-1 compression B20 bottom end. But man, I don't know. I got this Kraftwerks kit from my buddy White Boy Built on Instagram. Shout out to you, Adam. I really appreciate that. It's been sitting for a while though, so it is time. We're gonna get this thing together. He gave me a good deal, like I said before, and we're just gonna make it happen. So in this video, we're gonna pull the motor. I'm gonna try and look at the bearings. I'm gonna look at the rod bearings, see what they look like. If they're clapped, I'm gonna measure and replace, see if we can get a decent clearance. Because when I first built this motor, I actually got the rings, the piston rings, for like some boost because I did have plans on turboing it down the road. They're not very big. I think the ring gap in Carlos's car is like 20 thousandths on the top ring, and I think the ring gap on this car top ring is 16 and the second ring is 18. So it should be able to handle some boost. It is 11-to-1 compression, so you know, we're gonna see what happens. I don't know what pulley. I still have to do the calculation of what pulley versus the ATI dampener versus the stock dampener, and see what boost level we will accomplish. If it's, you know, lower boost and we can rev it higher, cool. It'd be fun either way. If it's higher boost and we don't rev it as high, like that's okay as well. Like I just want to drive the car, hear that supercharger spin up, whistle, blow off, like all of that. So yeah, pull the motor, check the bearings. Once the bearings are checked, we're good. The engine's good to go back in the car. We need to check over the transmission. I don't know if we'll do that in this video because this car is going to take a little bit of money, which I don't have at the moment, but I'm going to be acquiring. So we have to check over the transmission, make sure second gear is okay. After that, we have to I have to mount the supercharger on the block and fit the header and see how much space we have. I'll do that while it's on the engine stand because if we don't have enough space, I can't run this header. So this is a 1320 Ram horse style header, and I really like it, but for space, if the supercharger's on the front of the block there, we aren't gonna have much space for the supercharger to have an intake. So what we might have to do is run an RMF header that it goes 4-to-1, but it comes over this direction and goes straight down and under, which will give us more room here for the charger for an intake and stuff like that. So yeah, we're gonna do that. I want to do the fuel system. I want to put a 450 in tank because we'll be doing a flex fuel setup on this. Yeah. We are going to do the fuel system, and I need to do all the charge piping. I need to figure out an intercooler setup, and I kind of want to find another front bumper because if I do go back to all motor, I would like a factory bumper, and I don't want to cut my bumper. This is an original SI bumper. Now I did cut it previously for an air ram intake when I was on motor for this setup, and now I can just add fogs or something and make it look really cool. So we're gonna go backdoor with the intercooler on this the same way we did it with Carlos's car. So we have to see how it goes, you know. But yeah, pulling the motor, checking the trans, we're doing all that. So let's dive into it. All right, so over here, pulling stuff apart, right? Got the header off, draining the coolant, and I see this stuff. So this is just like crud buildup on the cylinder walls in the cooling system from before I had the motor. So when I got it, I basically just brake cleaned everything when I first put it together, and you know, tried to get out as much stuff as possible. But over the years, having it run, it breaks the stuff down by itself. So that's just all the shit that is in the bottom end. Not in the bottom end, in the cooling system. So I actually may pull the head off this thing then. I didn't want to, but I may. Or just run some water through that and try and get it as clean as possible, because obviously you don't want that shit in your cooling system. So yeah, I'm just draining the coolant right now. Gonna get the rad out, get some shit unplugged, and try and drop this motor here soon. Just wanted to fill you guys in on what that stuff was, because I was like, oh fuck, but then I realized I only brake cleaned the shit out of this motor when I first got it. Whew. All right, so I got most of this shit out of here. Got the intake manifold off, I got the alternator off. We just have to remove the traction bar, so I'm gonna pull the suspension. I want to do that tomorrow because premiere for the previous video, which is tonight, is airing in about an hour. So yeah, I'll come in tomorrow, we'll remove the suspension on the front, traction bar, and then we'll just have to undo the mounts and lower this baby down. All right guys, we're back. We're gonna pull this motor today. I'm about to drain the oil and the trans fluid, and I was just looking over everything, and I noticed that our transmission is actually hitting the frame over here, and I believe it might have touched up here too, which that means there's a lot of movement. I am going to run the third mount. The fourth mount. I am going to get a fourth mount for this so that it keeps the engine stable and like still, but I'm gonna have to maybe just massage that a little bit just so the transmission doesn't touch, because you can see where it was moving and rubbing. So I didn't realize that until just now, so nice. When I do get on the stand though, I forgot I was going to do this, but I'm going to pull the head apart and replace the valves. A buddy of mine told me that he works in a machine shop. He said that these valves, these 5000 series valves, are known to come apart. He's seen them come apart, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to go with a set of 6000 series valves. They're not flat, they're going to be dished, but they're better construction, and they're lighter, so be able to handle the revs a little bit better. I've had no issues with these valves so far, but you won't have an issue until it comes apart. But I'm going to keep them in case I need some type of budget to put together a build later down the road or something like that. So I'm going to get the trans fluid, I'm going to get the engine oil all drained from the motor, and then I'm going to pull the suspension apart and start trying to get this baby out and on the engine stand. Well boys, she's an empty carcass. The engine is out. You know how the drill goes. It actually wasn't very hard. So that actually came out even easier than the single cam did. For some reason, I guess the trans with the pan, it just sits flatter on the plate. And I used the plate again, and I used the wood to then lift up from the rad support, lower rad support, to get it high enough to drag it out from underneath. But yeah, she's out, bro. She's out. What we have to do to the bay, we have to clean it, literally just clean it, and then it's ready for the motor to go back in. We have to massage some here and right here, because as you can see, the transmission hit there and it was rubbing there. So I'm gonna have to massage some of that, clean it. We're gonna get I'm getting fuel line. I don't know when, but I'm gonna get fuel line for it, and get all the fuel lines ran and everything like that. But we're gonna go ahead, probably tomorrow, get this engine separated from the transmission, get the block on the engine stand, pull the head, just look everything over, flip it upside down, pull the pan, check the rod bearings, because that's what I have the most concern over. Not really so much the mains, just the rods. The rod bearings are good. We're gonna open the trans up, check second gear, find out what we need. I'll probably just have to buy a full rebuild kit. They have a new set of carbon line synchros that are a little bit better, so I'm probably going to go with that. Just rebuild the trans, put new bearings in it. I mean, why not, right? And then we can put it back together and put it back in the car, and it weights the fuel system. So yeah, so tomorrow you'll catch me. We'll put the motor on the stand and check the bearings. Alright, we're back. I wasn't going to show you any of taking the trans off or anything like that. But right now, I got to show you guys this because I'm baffled. My clutch is gone. And I haven't had any issues really with it. That I knew of. I had no idea this was like this. So, my clutch disc material has disappeared. Disappeared, bro. Like, where the fuck did it go and why? I mean, obviously, I think I know why. 10,000 RPM shifts. It wasn't very fond of it. But, like, holy fuck, dog. Why? Like, I mean, I ran this clutch for a while. I did not expect this to happen, though. Like, what? Dude, I'm hella confused. Hella confused. And now I need a clutch. Now I need a clutch. That's some shit. Well, let me get this engine on the stand and we're gonna look at the bearings. Hopefully they look better than that. Alright, my dudes. So I got the motor on the stand. My buddy Ian came over yesterday, who owns the Miata, and he helped me throw this bitch on the stand. I'm gonna start tearing it down. I'm not really gonna film it, a lot of process of it, but when I take the head off, we're gonna get a decent look at it, look at the valves, look at the pistons, you know, that, and then look at the bearings and see what's going on. So I'm gonna start tearing this thing down. Like I said before, when I do put this thing back together, we're not gonna use the Pro 2 cams that are in here. We're actually gonna go back to the CTR cams, because I don't think these would work very well with a supercharger. Obviously, if we could run it, I would, because this would probably make power to like 12,000 or something like that. But yeah, we're gonna go back to the CTR cams, maybe get 9,500 out of them with the supercharger. It's gonna make power almost the entire time, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm gonna get this thing torn down, pull the head off, flip it over, look at the bearings, and we'll see what it looks like. After looking at the clutch and seeing what that looked like, I'm not really expecting positive things, but I'm not letting that get me down. I'm gonna, you know, it is what it is. We're gonna find out what's up in here and then go from there. All right, guys, I just took the valve cover off, and surprisingly, it's fairly clean. I mean, this doesn't look horrible at all. It looks very, very clean. And but I did see something that essentially would be a cause of concern if this thing was driven every day, but it's been sitting for about a year, which I can only say this milky substance is just from moisture. It's sitting, not doing anything, builds up a little moisture. I start it every once in a while, and that's you know, that would be head gasket issues if it was driven every day, but it wasn't. It sat for a while, so I can only, and the oil wasn't changed while it sat, so I can only say that that's what that is, just moisture. It's not a head gasket issue, because it didn't really have any overheating issues or anything like that. But so yeah, valve cover off, looks fairly clean, other than a little bit of moisture, milky stuff from moisture, not from the head gasket. I mean, maybe it is. We'll see when I pull the head off. But I'm gonna go ahead and pull this timing belt off, pull the camshafts out, VTEC solenoid off, and get this thing laid out and see what the head gasket looks like. Finding more shit. So you can see on the middle lobe of this exhaust cam, on the VTEC lobe, on all of them especially, like I can feel this little bit of roughness here. This is on the closing ramp of the VTEC lobe. Like I don't know, but let me move this real quick. You guys see that? That is a dip. That is a dip in the stock rocker arm. In all of them, with these two being the worst. Like, you can see it. See the difference right there? Like, why would it do that on the closing ramp? Like, the closing ramp is the smooth part. You'd think it would rub off on the opening ramp. Maybe, I mean, there's really no rub mark on the opening ramp, no like gouging or anything. It all looks like it's on the exhaust, but I mean, maybe it was rubbing on the opening ramp on, you know, when it's coming down, it's closing. I don't know, but more issues. I cannot run these exhaust rocker arms like this. I can't. I literally can't. So I'm gonna have to find rocker arms too. The list is just piling up, dog. Intake looks fine. It really does. I don't know why that would have caused that. Yeah, I don't know. Alright guys, well, so far it looks alright. I'm just giving you a little bit of light here, flashlight, but for as many miles and as all the beating that I've done on this motor, these look clean as hell. So the piston walls look fairly good. Oh, flashlight. You can still see the crosshatch. There's not very much crosshatch, but you can see it. And I mean, it looks good so far. The head looks fairly clean. There's one valve that's really clean compared to the others, which is cylinder 4, which I'm not sure why, but yeah, these all look pretty good. I ain't gonna lie, they definitely look pretty good. Not complaining. These valves are gonna get replaced. I like the flat valves, but I'm gonna go with a 6000 series standard like dish valve. Just heard that these sometimes have a issue with like separating, coming apart because of the way they're put together. So I'm just gonna get them out because I don't want that happening, especially since the bottom end is, you know, basically stock other than an oil pump. I want to be able to safely do what I want with the motor, so that's going to come out. Those are going to come out, and I'm going to replace them with standard dish 6000 series valves. So the head looks good, other than the yeah, the head looks good other than the cam rockers. So yeah, I'm going to get this thing coolant out of this thing and flip it over and see what the bearings look like. Hopefully they are okay. I'm actually prepared for those to be toast, which why not, right? Just might as well rebuild the whole thing. I would do pistons and rods, but that's going to cost me $1,000 because I have to. The rods alone for a B17, I've found them, but they're $1,000 by themselves. So instead of going that route, I would just go with B16 rods, which are a little bit longer, and then get a custom piston, and it'll cost me $1,100. So for $100 more, I got rod and piston set. I contacted Trom a while ago, and they were able to give me a quote on a set of pistons with the pin height, like 2 mil, however much longer the B16 rod is than the B17 rod, that much further up into the piston, so I can rock stock like a piston for a B series on a B16 rod in this motor and still not come up over the deck. So if I wanted to do that, which I probably should do that just to be safe, I could, but I'm probably going to send it if the bearings are okay. I mean, if something we find else and the bottom end is wrong, I guess I probably could. It's just the point of funds. So let me get this thing flipped over and we're going to check what the bearings look like. I see some metal chunks, so that's not good. Let me show you guys the metal that I'm talking about. This piece. That could be bearing material. Piece right here, it's hard to see this one because it just flung off. Whatever, a couple chunks. So I'm gonna get this windage tray pulled off, pickup pulled off, and probably pull number 4 rod bearing, see what it looks like. Actually, I'm gonna pull them all and see what it all looks like. So Wish me luck. Alright, so I got the 2 center rod bolts off. I did take this one off and wipe it, so I saw this before you guys, but I don't see, like, I mean, obviously it's worn, and I'll probably change these, but it's not spun. There's no grooves on the crank, so that's good. That's promising. This one was hard to get off, and the bearing is stuck on the crank, but I don't think it's stuck. I think it was just didn't want to come up off or something. It's not the worst. There we go. It's definitely worn.
Look in the groove.
Yeah, I mean that usually happens.
Yeah, okay.
But it's definitely worn. That could be where that chunk came from, right in there.
Yeah.
Probably just gonna pull the. I gotta check the mains too at this point, so might as well just pull the motor apart, right? I guess so. Okay, cylinder 1 had some stuff on it, so as you can see, if you can see, it's kind of hard, but there's a little dot. Just a little dot right there, and that piece of metal is actually right here. When I pulled the cap off, that little piece of metal was right in the spot where this goes on the journal. So this bearing is definitely, I mean, I'm gonna replace them, but yeah, this one looks like there's some material gone. So hopefully cylinder 4 looks okay. I'm about to pull that one off. We'll see how it looks. All right, so rod bearings definitely gonna get changed. Cylinder 1, it's got a piece missing from it. The pistons look fine. The ring lands look fine on all the pistons, but the bearings do look a little worn. Obviously 10,000 RPM or 9,800 RPM would do that, so I'm not too butthurt over it, but at least nothing spun, so you know, that's always a plus. Yeah, I think cylinder 1 was probably the worst, and that's weird because it's closest to the oil pump. You'd think it would be not the worst, but okay, I'm gonna pull this I'm gonna pull the oil pump off, the rear main seal off, and pull this crankshaft and check the mains. Hopefully they're okay. Okay, crank is out. The mains, I thought they would look better. They don't look like dead, but obviously there's a lot of stuff. This one on, this is number 4. On the bearing here, you can see, like, I don't know if you guys can see it, block some of the light. No, not really, but there is some like pieces or like specks where look like there might have been debris, and on that journal right here you can kind of see scratches, and I can feel them. See them right there. I can feel them with my fingernail, so I'm gonna have to get it polished for sure. And this one is number 3. You can see how, like, you can see like the debris that whatever got caught in the thing. Just looks bad. So so far it looks like I'm gonna put bearings in it, measure, obviously make sure I have good clearance, put bearings in it, and I'm gonna check the ring gap just to make sure it's, you know, where I want it. And I need rockers for the exhaust side, because those are completely fucked, which is just it's fucking nuts to me. So far on the list for stuff that we need for the motor, I want to replace the valves. We need exhaust rockers, VTEC lobe only, but I'll replace them all if I need to, if I can only find them. We need bearings. Oh, also the thrust washer on the clutch side is actually pretty ate up, so yeah. We need bearings. We need rockers for the exhaust side. I'm gonna change the valves, check the piston rings, make sure they're good. The pistons look great. and I don't have the money for rods or pistons, like, you know, like a setup, so whatever. I need to get the crank polished just a little bit to clean it up so it's smooth again. As far as the engine, I believe that's really all we need. I'm gonna get a rear main seal so I can replace that, and I'm gonna clean up the front main seal on the oil pump because it is an ACL oil pump. Make sure the seal's good. I might just reuse it, not sure. If I don't reuse it, I'm going to replace it with an OEM. I had hoped this would be a better outcome, but I mean, the car's seen 10,000 RPM for how many pulls and stuff, so I can't really blame it. It did what I needed it to do for a long time, so I mean, I'm glad it held up for so long. I wish it had been okay, so I could have just slapped it back in and together and you know, been back on the road with it so I can drive it, because sometimes you just need like mental clearance, and driving is that for car guys, and me in particularly. That's our getaway, you know, and I haven't had that. I mean, I drive my Insight, but like, that's not fun. I have to pin it to get the traffic speed. Like, it's nothing crazy. Yeah, so that's like a getaway for us, and I haven't had that in a while, so I've been kind of clogged, you know, kind of cloudy, but yeah. Now we know what the motor needs. We just got to pull the trans apart now and check its second gear, so probably get to that next, because this is just gonna sit until I have parts, so I have to get a bag on it and make sure it's all right. Sit it in the corner and have it wait, bag everything up, make sure nothing gets rusty. I do have to pull the head apart, which I will do in another video when we go to assemble the motor again, so I'm not really worried too much about that. Just gonna brake clean everything, replace the rockers, and put new valves in it, new valve stem seals, do a valve job on it so it seats good, and yeah, we'll be good there. I don't think I need to replace, I mean, these, all right, they are stock rods, okay, so, you know, hoo-hoo, whatever, but these look really, they look beefy to me. I don't know why, but they just do. So yeah, motor's figured out. Now let's dive into the trans. All right, on all hydro transmissions and 92 to 93 LS transmissions or Integra GSR transmissions, there's I think 16 or 14 of these bolts. They're 12 millimeters all the way around. There's a 14 millimeter reverse bolt. It locks the shaft so you can go to reverse. There's two detent springs here, bolts. You pull the bolts out, a spring will come out with it, and then there's a ball inside. Those help detent the shifts when you go click 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 in a gear and stuff like that. Those two. And then there's this bearing clip. All you have to do is spread it open and the shaft will drop down. Once you have that done, all you gotta do is pry the case up, because it'll be sealed with Honda Bond, and it should come right out. I'm gonna pull this off and we're gonna take a look at second gear. Alright, there is quite a bit of material on the magnet. All the gears look good. The synchros look, I mean, kind of chopped, but they're okay. I think this is reverse. Oh, it is. This gear will come down and engage the input shaft and the output shaft. That looks pretty beat. Probably need to stop before I go to reverse. Alright, I'm gonna engage second so I can find it, because I can't remember which one is which. Alright, so show you guys what's up. So this right here is second gear. It would go up and engage, and you can see, if you can, the teeth right there on the gear, right below the gear right there. Those are the actual like gear teeth. It's what like connects everything. So the brass part is the synchro, which synchronizes the speeds so that it would allow it to go in, and then the silver part above it the actual part to the gear is what like locks the gear to the shaft and then gives you your second gear. It's kind of hard to see. I'll take a picture with my phone so you guys can see it better, but they're all pretty rounded. So honestly, the gear looks good, but that part of the gear does not. So either I have to take it out and file it, make them sharper, so they just like kind of, you know, allow it to like engage, not really engage, but like have a sharper engagement so it clicks in. Which, I mean, I'm kind of explaining this incorrectly, but basically, if they're round like that, it won't grab like it should, snappy. It will lock you out sometimes, and because it's rounded. So either I find another gear, which I have another YS1 over there in the corner. I don't want to pull it apart because I don't know what it looks like, and it might just be the same shit I'm looking at here. So I don't want to pull it apart, but either I find another gear, I source the gear from that trans, or I try and file them and see if I can, you know, make it work. Obviously, I probably will sometimes. We'll see how it happens, but power shifting this car in a second, I'm gonna try and not do that anymore, but obviously we'll see. I can't make any promises, but shifting normally is all I'm gonna be doing because I want to track the car, get into some circuit stuff or like time attack or even fucking autocross and just have more fun with the car instead of just drag racing. But obviously everyone loves to spin, bang the next gear, keep spinning. I mean, it's a Honda. So I probably will stop power shifting. I guess we'll see though. And I really just I don't know. I gotta look for another gear. This is all just racking up the dollars, and I don't have the dollars to do any of this shit. So at the moment, anyways. Once more work starts coming in and I start getting moving on other projects that I have here, still waiting on some parts, I have more income and more money to get stuff done, honestly. So that is where this one's gonna end, guys. I just wanted to show you the carnage, show you what happens, give you a little update on what the car, where it's at and what's gonna happen. So we need a second gear, probably a whole synchro kit too, bearings and everything. We need bearings for the motor, we need exhaust rockers. I want to change the valves out, and then we can put it all back together. We need a clutch, can't forget that thing. We need a clutch. If ACT doesn't get back to me and I don't get something for free, because I mean I'd buy another one, but I don't have the money. So if I don't get it for free, I might look to get a super single, just for the clamping force, and I like the jingle. We'll see what happens, but yeah, either go that route or find something that'll hold the power and not fall apart. I heard that you might be able to, that might happen from preloading. So I was launching at 8,500 RPM, so I guess that could cause it. So but yeah, that's all for this one, guys. Hope to catch you on the next one. Until next time, deuces.